All right, guys, let's begin today's class. My name is Pranav Kale, and I have a very, very fascinating case study for you today. Something that will blow away your mind. I'm a marketer. I'm supposed to exaggerate, but trust me, I'm not. I'm not kidding. This case study has a lot of helped me personally learn a lot of things while I was making it, and I hope you find this insightful as well. Today's company that we're talking about is actually an Indian company known as Upeka. All right. And so here we go. The name of the case study is that seven marketing lessons from Upeka, an Indian accelerator that is crushing it. Okay, they're simply crushing it, and we'll talk about how they're doing so in the next few minutes. Okay, now what do they do? What is Upeka into? They are basically an accelerator, an accelerator or an incubator. There's a difference between an accelerator and an incubator, I believe, but they more or less indulge in helping startups grow at an early stage. They help the startups with funding. They help them sometimes with mentoring and with connections and a lot of other things. So you can think of an accelerator as someone who is helping raise a baby. That's what an accelerator does, baby being the startup. But as you go deeper into Upeka, as you start doing some research, um, it's quite very soon you'll figure out that what this organization is a little bit different. They are a little bit, they are remarkable. They are actually causing a dent in the universe, in their small world, of course. And so if you look at their cohort, if you look at the home page, okay, and if you look at the kind of testimonials they have, if you look at the kind of cohort that they have as their clients, you'll be blown away, because there are some huge names, some really really big SaaS names in India that you will find in this particular page, and these are the clients that they have been working with. So yeah, obviously there is some secret sauce that they have. What is it that they are doing? How are they doing it? How is their marketing working so well that they have been able to bag these many names? What is their secret sauce, and what can we learn from Upeka is the question today. Okay, so there are actually seven lessons. Let's jump into the first one. The first lesson to learn from Upeka is the focus. So this brand is as focused as a monk, extremely focused. And let me tell you, this is a very very hard thing for many brands to follow, be it any industry. Uh, the the brands are not focused. The brands are not focused in a lot of ways, and it takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage to have this kind of focus. So how are they exactly focused? Well, firstly, their ICP. ICP is a terminology which means ideal customer profile. In the SaaS industry, it could simply mean your ideal customer avatar and other things. But yeah, basically they are extremely clear. Upeka is extremely clear about the market that they want to serve, which is typically B2B SaaS startups in India. They technically call it Asia, but for the sake of this discussion, I'll keep it India. So they have extreme focus, B2B SaaS startups in India. But it doesn't end here. Their focus is further enhanced by their value proposition, which says that they will typically help a startup to go from 100K annual recurring revenue to 1 million annual recurring revenue. uh, which means that not everyone in the B2B SaaS startup will be their client, but only a few set of people, a few entrepreneurs or a few organizations who are at 100K and want to move to 1 million. Now, of course, they do have further programs from 1 million to 10 million, but for now uh, I'll skip that part. So yeah, just to summarize this, they are extremely focused, and so focus is the key for any organization. Focus on the smallest viable audience, because when you have focus, your audience in and out, their problems, and you can then develop the expertise of solving that particular problem. So if you just if you go to their website, again I'll go to the website. It's quite clear to whom they cater to, right? So this is the graph, which I think is fantastic. They tell you from where you will go to where, from if you are here, you'll go to you'll go to here. That is what they are basically promising you, right? So if any other entrepreneur comes here, he is not going to connect with it. And that's what they want. They actually want to repel people who are not their ideal customers, so that they can really connect with the people who are their ideal customers. All right. Now, uh, if we had to talk about the positioning of Upeka, it will look something like this. Okay. uh, there is a value SaaS, and then there is vanity SaaS. I'll talk about this in a bit. And then there is the B2B SaaS startups and generic incubator. So uh, incubators or accelerators can be for different kind of sectors, but they specialize in B2B SaaS, and they also specialize in B2B SaaS in Asia or India. And more importantly, the psychographically, they are only focusing on value SaaS. Okay, they are not concerned about people or about organizations who care about vanity SaaS. Okay, so what is value SaaS and vanity SaaS? Well, I will let you read about this on their particular website, but just a summary of that would be that vanity SaaS is all about being stuck in a niche, or if you don't have any focus. I remember I know a few SaaS companies who start producing their, they start their marketing, and they have actually 10 customers with 10 value propositions, and they don't know where to go. And so this is what the new way is all about, which is about growing in a specific niche, or growing in a specific target market, right? The second is capital indigestion, and third is horrible founder dilution. Again, I won't go too deep into it. You can explore this on your own. But the point is that they are choosing this as their positioning, that we are not if you are looking for vanity SaaS, if you're looking to raise this big capital and dilute your share, then we are not for you. But if you are someone who wants to have these results, the value SaaS results, then we are definitely for you. In the On the write-up, what's value SaaS, I think it's brilliantly explained, where they just say that, what, we are against vanity SaaS. And value SaaS is the mindset of building software as subscription business in a capital efficient way from the get-go. This is, the main differentiator, and this is how they are actually positioning themselves. Okay, now moving on. So along with the right focus, they're also conveying the right emotions. If you look at the site, there is no jazz, there is no fluff, but still, despite this, they are basically certainly promising two emotions to the target market. What are those two emotions? Well, this needs empathy. So what is a B2B SaaS founder or the CEO thinking? What is he thinking? What is he feeling? What are his dreams? What are his aspirations? And as you explore this website, it's quite clear that Upeka is basically promising two things, or at least that is my interpretation, that Upeka is promising two things to the founders, two emotions. One is that they'll have much more control over their business, which is an emotion. So all the founders, all the entrepreneurs have an emotional connection with their business. So they don't want to lose control. And so Upeka is basically promising control. And secondly, they're promising support and care in terms of the cohort, in terms of the mentoring that they provide, and so on. Because being an entrepreneur is lonely. You need guidance, you need the right people around you, you need to have conversations which inspire you, which is what Upeka is basically giving. This is why, as if I'm a B2B SaaS entrepreneur, if I'm getting these two things, I will sign up with them. All right. The next thing to know is that Upeka, I just missed out on one point, I guess, which was, yeah, just this one line, that if you fit into this bracket, it's impossible to ignore Upeka. If you are into this bracket of B2B SaaS and 100K to 1 million ARR, you are going to find it impossible to ignore. And rather than having a spray and pray approach, if you can find that small audience to whom we can really add value, then it's very hard for that audience to ignore you, which is what Upeka is proving with their work. Okay, so we are done with the emotions. The third part is that Upeka is a polarizing brand. I've spoken with the CEO, or he calls himself the chief bullshit officer, Prasanna, and it's very clear that it's a extremely polarizing brand. Okay, and let me show what I mean. But firstly, let me tell you that most of the brand stories suck. Okay, most of the brand stories suck. So I actually opened up a few other incubators or accelerators who might not be direct competitors of Upeka, but just to give you a sense of what they're doing. So this is Amity University. uh, there is no story, right? uh, I don't find anything quite remarkable about this particular story. Okay, then when I go to I let me start from here. Okay, so when I go to uh, Accelerate, they are into SaaS, yes, but again, it's just another website which does not have any point of view, any strong stand. It's just a website. I don't think they have a lot of personality imbibed into this. Then if you go to this, which is Alchemist Accelerator, again, exclusively for founders whose revenue comes from enterprises. What others are saying, there is nothing quite remarkable about it. Okay, same goes for Angel Pad, right? Nothing here as well. I have done the research, I am just skimming through, but the point is that most of the brands that I have gone through. So see, the accelerator for enterprise startups, I mean, if you compare all of these websites, they are just the same. They are just the same. But Upeka is definitely different. Firstly, they're saying that we are against something, so they're taking a side. They're picking a side, and most of the brands are afraid to pick a side because they don't want to turn off anyone. There's a big FOMO there, but this is not what Upeka is doing, right? On top of that, they are extremely concerned about the kind of people that they work with, right? So if you look at the program that they offer, which is Upeka One, the kind of people that they want to work with, they're very selective about those. And if you go to Prasanna's LinkedIn profile also, you will find that he is a very polarizing figure. He will not try to please you. He will take a stand, and the brand typically reflects that. If you read this, most startups falter and die in the journey. Founders make too many unforced errors, and we do this. So this is very, very polarizing, right? So most of the brand stories suck, and as you go deeper into Upeka, you realize that Upeka is definitely different. Okay, lesson number 4 is that name the game and the enemy. So what do I mean by name the new game? There is this one principle of storytelling, is which is that you don't have to say that you should not say that we are 10% better than them, or we are 20% better than them. You basically create a new positioning for yourself, and so you name the new game. You say that, hey, you know what, if you want to play the old game, you keep playing the old game. We are not interested to work with you. We want to create this new game. And then of course you have the enemy. So let me just elaborate this a little bit. uh, a marketing story needs an enemy, and it also needs a new game, right? The enemy in this case is vanity SaaS, and the new game is value SaaS. So if you are playing the vanity SaaS game, we are not interested. If you want to play the value SaaS game, please welcome. Okay, and the story of Upeka looks something like this. So who is the hero of the story? Well, many brands tend to think that the customer is the hero of the story. Sorry, that the brand itself is the hero of the story. So for example, if you go to this brand, they say uh, they say we back fearless entrepreneurs building disruptive solutions. We stand with the startups when they need the most. We give everything it takes. The story is all about me. It's not about you, right? Which is a classic storytelling mistake, that you make it all about yourself but not about the customer, because the customer is always the hero of the story and you are just a guide, you are just a teacher. The customer is the Harry Potter, you are Dumbledore. The customer is Luke Skywalker and you are Master Yoda. The customer is Frodo Baggins and you are Gandalf. You get the point. But yeah, in this case, the Upeka has made sure that the customer is the hero, and he would say something like, at first I thought that I'll have to live with the problems of capital indigestion, loss of control and vision, and uncertainty about my niche. But now, with the guidance that I'm getting from Upeka, I have a cohort of people who help me and support me. The support makes my journey easier, and now I feel confident of achieving 10x growth. This is, a story, or this is the promise that Upeka is making. This concept of naming the new game is a little complicated. So I've just given a couple of more examples of how other brands are doing it. If you go to Zuora, you will see that the enemy of Zuora is that they are against one-time payment. They might not say it directly, but that's where they are. And they have hence created a new game which says subscription economy. If you want to play a new game with us, that is not a subscription economy. So my advice to all the brands is that figure out what the new game is, name that new game and own it, right? Drift also does the same. It's they're into chatbots. Drift's enemies, the delayed conversations, and the game that plays conversational marketing. Coditas, a client that I was working with in till February, they say that their enemy is messy coding, and the new game that they are playing is clean coding. So name the game that you are playing. Don't say that we are just another digital marketing agency or we are just another IT services company. No, we do this. This is our game. Naming the game is essential. All right. The next lesson is exceptional service. What do I mean by exceptional service? Well, I happen to have worked with one of the clients who is Upeka's clients as well. And what I can say is that the service that Upeka provides is exceptional. There is a lot of tension in the room during these calls because the founders Prasanna makes sure that the entrepreneur is on his toes and he knows his numbers and he's well prepared. For the meeting. Why do I talk about this? Well, because exceptional service is something right at the heart of marketing. You can't really market a crappy product or a service, and because of which this is an inherent part of marketing. And so from experience I know that Upeka is almost like an intimidating brand. The founders are on their toes. This is good kind of an intimidation, right? Because they are motivated to perform, and Upeka doesn't allow them to slack. And so this exceptional service makes it possible for the founders to talk about Upeka to other people. So my client used to talk about Upeka quite a bit simply because he was quite impressed with their service. The next lesson is exclusivity. Why do I say exclusivity? Because again, this might be a common trend in terms of incubators and accelerators, but Upeka does not allow everyone. There is an application process, and only a few specific founders, which I mentioned earlier, only they are allowed to apply if they fit into that bracket, and their applications are processed. This exclusivity is important because it creates tension. It creates positive tension because now I, as a founder, feel left out if I am not accepted into this cohort by Upeka. Again, not any founder, but if I fit into that category and still Upeka is not accepting me, or if there is still a tension, I'll try harder to get into Upeka, which really works in their flavor. The last lesson is building a tribe. So Upeka, tribes is basically a concept which was made famous by Seth Godin. Upeka has a lot of tribal, elements of marketing, tribal elements in their marketing. The tribal nature of the business enables heavy word of mouth. So what do I mean by that? Typical Upeka is not a one-way service where they simply give advice to people. It's a cohort of people helping each other. Now, when there is a cohort, the whole equation completely changes, because now it's not just a one-way communication, but the tribe is now connecting with one another as well, and they are helping each other out. Now, this creates heavy word of mouth, because that's what Seth Godin talks about, that if you can connect a tribe to one another and if you can lead the tribe to a better place, then it will be a marketing for you in itself in terms of getting the word out, right? So no other traction channel is needed. If you go to Upeka, what I find fascinating is that I don't think they are doing any paid ads to get any clients. They are not focusing on social media. They hardly have any social media channels. They are not doing any Google search or Google ads, as far as I remember. So how is it possible that without any of these traction channels they're still getting success? They're getting success because of all the other reasons that I told you about, that they are focusing small, that they have a remarkable story, that they create FOMO and they create tension, and all of these basically contributes to tribe building, because of which the word of mouth spreads. If you are a SaaS founder, the other SaaS founder will tell you about Upeka, because of which there is no need for Upeka to spam people, scam people, and do all sorts of other things that many marketers do. This is again something that I've stolen from Seth Godin. These are the circles of marketing, and if you look, things like ads, clicks, getting the word out, SEO, and all of that, they lie right at the periphery of the marketing. They are not at the core, because the product is at the core, right? The product is at the core, and that is where it actually starts. So your product is where your marketing starts. If you get the core sorted, the other things will become easier or redundant. In Upeka's case, they are redundant. They don't need the outer circle because their inner circles are so strong. The story, the support, the usability, the product, all of this is so strong that they don't need this outer circle. All right. So just a summary. Why is Upeka winning? Firstly, extreme focus. Second is the emotions. They are hitting the right emotions with their story. And I made a mistake in the slide deck. The third is that the fourth actually is name the game and the enemy. The next is exceptional service. The next is that it's a polarizing brand. It is a very brave brand. It's a purple cow. It doesn't hesitate to take any side. They have opinions. They have exclusivity. They don't allow everyone, and they have tribal elements associated with it, because of which the word of mouth spreads. So I think this is one of the very few brands who has nailed down all of these points. Finally, I would like to end my video with recommendations. It was hard to come up with recommendations for this brand simply because they're doing such good work. My only two recommendations are: one is that perhaps there should be some kind of a drip email campaign. I know Prasanna is a writer; he's a very good writer, and if the brand can have the discipline of having just a weekly email, a weekly newsletter about what's happening, it will. I am not entirely sure what the brand objectives are, brand goals are, but it will definitely help spread the word or get new clients or whatever that objective is. And if nothing at all, at least people in the outside, the people who are outside the cohort get to learn, and the culture changes. And it's always good to help people. So that is the first recommendation that I have, that have a drip email campaign. You already have the content. The second recommendation that I have is about the about us about on the about page. If you see, the story is all about, every entire B2B industry in India is less than value of one company. This story is perhaps a little bit different from the value SaaS story. In fact, it's quite different. Now, one might argue that, no, those two stories, coincide, and perhaps I'm horribly wrong here. So I'll leave it to the founders. I'll leave it to Prasanna if he thinks this story is coherent or not with this one. But perhaps I would have, carried away this values as story here, it's as well, in some way. Again, that's just a thought that I have. I'm not entirely confident about it, but yeah, perhaps you don't need a second angle. Perhaps you just need to carry ahead this one value as angle that you have created in your story. That's it from my end. I hope this was useful. Let me know your feedback, and take care, guys. Bye bye.